In the summer of 2012, a 34-year-old man named Kevin came back from a camping trip in Yosemite National Park. He felt fine. A little tired, maybe. He thought it was just the long drive home. By the next morning, he had a mild fever. He figured it was the flu. He took some Tylenol, drank some water, and went to bed. 3 days later, Kevin was on a ventilator in the ICU. His lungs were filling with fluid. His body was shutting down, and the doctors were fighting to keep him alive. Kevin had never heard of hantavirus. His family had never heard of it. Most people in that hospital had barely heard of it. But this invisible, silent virus had followed him home from a mountain camping trip, and it nearly killed him in less than a week. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what hantavirus is, how it quietly enters your body without you ever suspecting it, why most people ignore the early warning signs, and most importantly, what you can do to protect yourself and your family. Because here is the truth. This virus is not as rare as people think, and it is hiding in places you would never expect. I am a physician, and I want to be honest with you. Hantavirus is one of those infections that does not get nearly enough attention in public health conversations. I have seen the aftermath of what it does to a human body. It is brutal. It is fast. And the most dangerous thing about it is not how deadly it is. It is how normal everything feels in the beginning. Most patients I have spoken to said, and I quote, "I just thought I had a bad cold." That delay in recognition is what costs lives. Stay with me until the very end of this video, because what I am going to share in the final section is something most doctors do not explain clearly enough. It is the hidden chain of events that makes hantavirus so uniquely dangerous. And once you understand it, you will never look at a dusty old shed the same way again. Let's start from the very beginning. What exactly is hantavirus? Hantavirus is a family of viruses carried primarily by rodents: mice, rats, deer mice, voles. These animals carry the virus in their saliva, urine, and droppings. They are not sick. They do not show symptoms. To them, this virus is completely harmless. But to a human being, it can trigger one of two catastrophic syndromes. The first is called hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, or HPS. This is the version found mostly in North and South America, and it attacks your lungs. The second is called hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome, or HFRS, which is more common in Asia and Europe, and it destroys your kidneys. Both are potentially fatal, and both begin the same deceptive way. They look like the flu. Now here is something that most people do not realize. You do not have to touch a mouse to get infected. Think about that for a moment. You could walk into an old garage. You could sweep out a cabin that has been closed all winter. You could move a pile of firewood in your backyard, and if there are dried rodent droppings in that space, and you disturb them, the microscopic particles rise into the air. You breathe them in, and just like that, the virus enters your body. No bite. No direct contact, just air. This is what scientists call aerosolization. The virus becomes airborne when contaminated dust is disturbed, and it is so small, so invisible, that you would never know it happened. Now let us talk about what the virus does inside your body, because this is where it gets terrifying. Once the virus enters your respiratory tract, it does something clever. It targets a specific protein on the surface of cells that line your blood vessels. These cells are called endothelial cells. They are the inner lining of your veins and arteries. The virus essentially hijacks them. And when your immune system finally detects the invasion and launches a counterattack, that immune response is so aggressive that it causes the blood vessels themselves to become leaky. Imagine a water pipe that suddenly develops hundreds of tiny holes. Fluid starts pouring out into surrounding tissue. In the lungs, that fluid fills up the air sacs, the spaces where oxygen exchange happens. And when those spaces fill with fluid, you stop being able to breathe. Your oxygen levels crash, your blood pressure drops, your organs begin to fail, all within days. This is not slow, this is not gradual. This is a system collapse. And what makes this even more disturbing is the timeline. Phase 1 of infection lasts anywhere from 1 to 5 weeks. This is the incubation period. You feel completely normal. You have no idea. Then, almost overnight, you enter phase 2. Fever, muscle aches, headache, Fatigue, classic flu symptoms. Most people at this stage do not go to the hospital. They stay home, they rest, they wait it out. And then, usually within just 4 to 10 days of the first symptoms, phase 3 hits. Fluid in the lungs, respiratory distress, rapid deterioration, and by this point, you are already in a race against time. The mortality rate of hantavirus pulmonary syndrome is approximately 35 to 40%. That means almost 4 out of every 10 people who develop the severe lung form of this disease do not survive. That number should stop you cold. Now let us talk about who is actually at risk, because this is where most people make a critical mistake. They assume this is a disease of people who live in forests or rural areas. They think, I live in a city, this has nothing to do with me. But that is dangerously wrong. Hantavirus cases have been reported in almost every state in the United States. They have been reported in Canada, Brazil, Argentina, Germany, China, South Korea, Russia, and beyond. Hikers get it, campers get it, farmers get it. But so do people who clean out an old attic, people who move into a new home that was previously infested, people who work in warehouses or storage units, people who live near fields where deer mice are common. The risk is not about where you live, the risk is about what you come into contact with, and whether you take the right precautions when you do. So how do you protect yourself? The answer is both simple and critical. If you are cleaning any space that may have had rodent activity, wear an N95 respirator mask, not a cloth mask, not a surgical mask, an N95. It creates a seal against your face and filters out particles as small as the aerosolized virus. This is not optional. This is the difference between life and death. Before you sweep or vacuum a potentially contaminated area, dampen it first. Use a bleach solution. 1 part bleach to 9 parts water. Spray it onto the droppings, the nest material, anything suspicious. Let it sit for 5 minutes. Then wipe it up with paper towels. Do not sweep. Do not vacuum. Both of those actions send particles into the air. Wear gloves. Wear eye protection if you can. Wash your hands thoroughly afterward. And then remove your clothes and wash them as well. These are not extreme measures. These are basic precautions that can completely prevent exposure. Now let us talk about a story that rarely gets told. Because most people who survive hantavirus do not just recover and go home. The experience leaves marks. A woman named Maria, a 41-year-old school teacher from New Mexico, contracted hantavirus after cleaning out her deceased mother's storage room. She did not know her mother had been dealing with a mouse problem. She did not wear a mask. She swept out the entire room in one afternoon. 10 days later, she was in the ICU. She spent 3 weeks on life support. Her family was told to prepare for the worst. She survived. But 2 years later, she told a reporter that her lungs have never been the same. She gets winded climbing stairs. She cannot exercise the way she used to. And she told the reporter something that stayed with me. She said, I think about that afternoon all the time. It was one afternoon. And it changed everything. One afternoon, one dusty room, no mask. Now I want to bring this to the most important thing I need you to understand, because everything I have shared so far is serious. But this final piece is what connects all of it into one complete picture. Hantavirus does not kill you by itself. Not directly. What kills you is your own immune system. This is what most people never realize. The virus enters your body, your immune system detects it, and your immune system, in its attempt to destroy the virus, triggers a massive inflammatory response. That inflammation is what makes the blood vessels leaky. That inflammation is what floods your lungs. That inflammation is what crashes your blood pressure. Your immune system is fighting so hard to protect you that it accidentally causes catastrophic collateral damage. Scientists call this a cytokine storm. It is the same mechanism behind severe COVID-19 deaths, behind severe influenza deaths, behind sepsis. Your own body's defense system becomes the weapon that is used against you. And here is the tragic part. By the time you are in respiratory distress, the virus itself may already be declining, but the immune cascade it triggered is still running at full speed. There is no specific antiviral treatment for hantavirus. Doctors can only support your organs and keep you alive while your body tries to calm itself down. This is why early recognition matters so much. This is why if you have had any possible rodent exposure and you develop fever, muscle pain, and fatigue, you need to go to the emergency room immediately and tell them about that exposure. Do not wait. Do not hope it is the flu. Tell your doctor about any cleaning you did, any camping, any attic or garage work. That information could be the reason they run the right tests in time. You are not powerless in the face of this disease. The precautions are real. The awareness matters. The simple act of wearing the right mask, of dampening a surface before you clean it, of knowing what to say to a doctor when you walk into that ER, those are the things that save lives. Kevin from Yosemite survived. Maria from New Mexico survived. But there are hundreds of others who did not, simply because no one had ever told them any of this. So here is what I want you to do right now. Share this video with someone you know, a parent who likes to clean out old spaces, a friend who goes camping, a neighbor who just moved into an older house, because the dangerous truth about hantavirus is not the virus itself, it is the silence around it. And I want to ask you something directly. Have you ever cleaned out an old garage, a shed, an attic, or a storage room without taking precautions? Have you ever camped in an area with known rodent activity? Drop your answer in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe. Because on this channel, I cover the health threats that do not make the evening news but should. Your health is not something to leave to chance, and neither is your safety. Stay informed, stay protected, and I will see you in the next one.